I am especially inspired by the capacity that we have now, the capabilities we have in science, in biomedical science in particular. After Newton, we were able to do architecture in a different way. We were able to do building in a different way. After Faraday, we had electricity. After the invention of the steam engine, there was the Industrial Revolution. Medicine is science-based medicine is really, much less than 200 years old. And we did a lot, and things like antibiotics were big breakthroughs. But it's really, I think that there's been just a sea change in the last 30, 40 years, especially now, with the better understanding of biology and biochemistry and molecular biology and now human genetics, since the DNA has been sequenced and people are learning a lot from our genomes. We're learning how to manipulate DNA in ways that engineers can manipulate steel and glass. And I think about the serious diseases that are out there that people in my family and myself have experienced. I've seen the tragedy of people going blind, and to think that right now we're on the brink of making this an engineering problem and not a real basic science problem. And to see and that's in ophthalmology, because that's my passion, but in all of biomedical science, just to see what's been happening in cancer, what I think is going to be happening in neuroscience, and of course what's been happening in ophthalmology. As we understand things more and more, and that's every day, we're going to be able to help more people. And so, again, I'm happy to have the privilege to be on the front line of this transitional time in history, where we're going to be able to take this basic information and turn it into practical knowledge. It's going to actually help people, a lot of people. Regeneron is unique. I've worked only at a couple of drug companies, Alcon and then Novartis, which had two very different cultures. And I was an academic for a lot of years before then. I spent the first 20, 25 years of my career as an academic before I got into industry. Regeneron is like, when I read about the Bell Labs in the 50s or the 60s, and how people just had so many ideas, and they were crazy ideas. However, they turned into devices and products that changed the whole world. I'm at meetings at Regeneron, and I hear my colleagues, my really bright colleagues, come up with these crazy ideas, and over the next 6 months to a year, I see these ideas come true. Regeneron is science-based, it is innovation-based. No decisions are made, no important decisions are made at Regeneron with the business or commercial as the primary goal. Of course, we're a for-profit company. But if the science is sound, you're going to succeed in the clinic if the science is really sound. And we're not afraid to critically challenge every hypothesis. At Regeneron, there were the Regeneron 5, these 5 statements about, and like one of them is, that's the way it's always been done around here, is not the right answer. Another one is, you will be challenged every day. And everybody in the company is not afraid to challenge anybody else. So our president, George, is my boss. He is a brilliant man, bubbling with creativity and energy. And he and all the senior team and the RAs in the lab, the technicians in the lab, everybody has a culture of challenging you. And it's not, it is meant to pressure test. It's meant to make sure that the science is solid, that the science is good. And so, everybody there has to up their game. And, we've had 7 drug approvals in the last 10 years, 5 in the last 5. Every one of them was discovered, created at Regeneron. We have a pipeline as long as your arm. What other company can say that? Lots of companies have lots of products, but they buy things, and I'm extremely again privileged and proud to be engaged in a company that value science, because I'm a believer in science. I believe that if you challenge your own ideas, if you pressure test them, if you ask others to try and prove you wrong, at the end of the day, your knowledge is forged like tempered steel. And that's a big problem, I think, in a lot of this industry, is that there are a lot of people who, what they're looking for is an easy exit. Some business guy meets some professor, the professor has some good idea, seems like a good idea to him, they make a package, they get some very, very preliminary results, and they're looking to get out. That's not at all what we do at Regeneron. What we do is we come up with the best science we can. If we read a paper that we think is inspiring, we reproduce it in-house. Or more often, we don't reproduce it in-house. And we find out what's wrong with all the stuff that's published in these fancy journals that, can give you tenure, can make you a famous scientist. But I can't tell you in my entire career, both at Alcon and at Novartis and at Regeneron, how many papers in Nature and Cell and Nature Medicine and Nature Chemical Biology that I have tried to reproduce. And there's just so much that's plain old phony baloney. And phony baloney ain't got no place at Regeneron. We have a couple of 3 things that are getting pretty close to initiating IND-enabling studies, getting into the clinic, I'd say in a year or 2 time frame. In terms of the 3 that I'm thinking about right now, 2 of the 3 have nothing like them has ever been tried in the clinic. So they're innovative approaches to ophthalmic diseases. And so, in addition, Regeneron, my boss would say Regeneron is not an antibody company. We're not an anything company. And I agree with that. But we are kind of an innovative technology innovation company. And what we're beginning to do is use different modalities, not just use therapeutic proteins. All of our products are antibodies or traps, which are chimeric proteins that have a binding site that's attached to a FC portion of an antibody. But we're beginning to have projects in gene therapy, using nucleic acids as therapy. We're doing a lot of work in formulations. We're doing, we recently announced a collaboration with Bluebird to do, CAR T sort of cell-based therapies. But particularly in innovation, every modality is coming along. So what's next for us? We have lots of things in sort of the standard Regeneron mold, therapeutic proteins, delivered intravitreally, and some surprises also, some different things. I had a former boss who once told me that it's the easiest thing in the world to start something. What really is hard to do is to follow through, is to finish something up. And that's important. At Regeneron, we have a lot of new things. And some people say that no project ever fully dies at Regeneron. But that's exciting because it gives us an opportunity to follow through. And I don't think that the new projects are a distraction. He was thinking about distracting things. And so, but the advice is sound. You can't get halfway there. And you have to get all the way there. So I think that requires a certain amount of perseverance. It requires diligence. It means knowing when to give up. If you've worked very hard, maybe the time isn't ripe for that approach. I think that's pretty good advice. You have to be fair to people. You have to be fair. What that means is, if 2 guys in my group are arguing about something, I gotta listen to both sides of the story. If somebody comes up to me at this meeting and they say, I got this really great thing that I wish you'd give me a few minutes to listen to, I try and I try to listen. You gotta be tolerant, you have to be open-minded. You have to be deeply skeptical of all science and be deeply appreciative of the hard work that goes into any of it, even that which doesn't succeed. It's a lot of Science is a lot of hard work, and the best scientists, projects don't work. But that's, if you know that it doesn't work, that's good data too. So you really do, to me, I think that it's a worldview of trying to be fair and tolerant in all the domains of life, including the most rigorous academic or biopharma ones. I've been coming to OIS, I don't know, 5, 6 years, maybe more. I love Emmett's opening talk, always. He gives you a great, his perspective is a very savvy one, a very insightful one. And despite the efforts of my BD colleague, I always hear about something I hadn't heard about in Emmett's talk. I like the opportunity to hear people, straight from the horse's mouth, talk about stuff. I love the opportunity to have all these people in the same room, to be able to challenge them, for them to challenge me. So it's a great networking place.